Hello, wanderers. Hello. Welcome to Soul Wanderings on Wandering Wednesday with me, AJ,
And me, Natalie.
and our cool little space, Vibes. Holding space for us tonight is Vibes.
That's definitely true.
Yes, it's so true.
Oh,
Hello,
vibes.
everyone. Welcome.
I love that you brought that up in the show because vibes has had its own sort of with the topic. I'm like, oh yes, vibes does know all about this topic.
Oh, Vibes knows all about this topic. We are very well versed in the shadow with Vibes. It's beautiful. So grateful. To those of you who are new, just a quick little introduction. Natalie and I are the host of Soul Wanderings. We've been doing this for a hot minute now, years. And you can learn more about us on soulwanderings.com. We also hang out at a place called Vibes, Mind, Body, Spirit during the day, where we assist humans through grief, through trauma, through awakening, through pain, all the things. All the things. We're here to support our community in feeling better within themselves, mind, body, spirit, and heart. You can learn more about that by visiting Vibes Now, VIBEZNOW.com. And every week we pick a show topic. So, well, the last few weeks, this will be the third week we haven't picked it. We voted on it in the chat room through the live audience. But if you have a topic request, you can email those over to us at connect@soulwanderings.com. So, yeah, last week we were at the end of topics. And so we threw a couple of topics out there for you guys to vote on. It was pretty even, but towards the end, it ended up being shadow work. So tonight we're going to be talking about shadow work, and it leaves the other request for next week, which, if you forgot, go watch the replay or wait till next week and we'll get to it then. Thanks for everyone for being in the chat room tonight. We see you. We're grateful for you. Thank you for coming in. Ronald wants to know, is AJ the shadow? I hope so.
Yeah, she has had shadows, so familiar with that.
I mean, I have been very familiar with shadows my whole life. Shadow people, shadow work, shadow energies.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, I love when people say, "Oh, AJ's a light worker." And I'm like, "What? I'm actually not." I do work for the light though. I do choose the light. However, I am a middle worker. I work in the dark and the light. So, I love duality.
Yeah, sometimes we have to go into the shadows to get people that are trapped there
Mhm.
and not be
Yeah.
afraid of the dark.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a fan, but I don't want to live there.
No.
I'm just a fan because I know what can come from it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. So, hi everyone. Tonight we are going to be talking about shadow work. So, let's start there.
Hmm.
Let's start there. We're talking about shadow work. I like to hear your definition of shadow work. And hello, stranger.
Oh,
I like to
hello.
talk. This is our old producer. He
Yes,
produced from us
hey.
for us in the beginning. Hello, love it.
That's
Thank
cool.
you for showing up. So, I have a feeling because we didn't discuss the show per usual. We just get on and we both have our versions. Sometimes they match, sometimes they don't. That's the beauty of open conversation
Yeah.
and the duality, right? We come from very different places. So, um, first, What do you, let's lean into your version of what you feel like shadow work is.
So I'm going to, no surprise, come from the human design aspect. I'm just going to start with that.
I
So you're surprised.
I need one of those. Yeah.
Yes. So in the human design, if you're familiar with your human design, the not self is the shadow. And so it's actually, and that once you study that and you study the not self, you can see that our shadows are the things that trip us up anyway, because they're not where our light and where our true self is. And they're often driven by other people. So in the not self, that's the areas that we're not defined in our body graph. We are open to conditioning from the moment we're born. We're
Mm,
conditioned.
mm,
And so this will probably resonate with what you're saying. But so when we're little, and most of the stuff conditioning gets in deep before we're 7,
mhm,
is other people's conditioning telling us how to be and what we're supposed to be. We're just told that from pretty much the get-go. Parents are like, don't do that, and all kinds of things. They tell us what our names is, all these different types of things. So we're conditioned to be a lot of things that's not our nature.
mm,
So if we think about human design, in some ways, there's nature, which is our definition, and nurture, which is the undefined area. So the not self, which comes from the undefined areas, ends up being our shadow, because it doesn't have any, just like a shadow doesn't have physicality, our not self doesn't have any physicality either. It's not where we're supposed to live from.
mm.
So that's my quick first answer, is that it's the not self.
Yeah, I like that quick answer. And if you're familiar with the human design system or you've been following along for a while, you have a pretty good idea of what that means. Either way, we know when we're not being our true authentic selves,
Right.
right?
And when we are, so then to simplify that in layman's terms, and not necessarily framed in the human design, but the same thing, that said, when we are trying to live by someone else's rules or what they think is right, so we're trying to form ourselves to fit in other people's aspects,
Mhm.
or well, and so I'm just going to leave it with that, because I want to hear what you have to say before but that's part where we end up living a life that ends up being really cold and in the shadows, because it's not our life,
Yeah.
and it's not easy.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Mm-mm.
But also, I am so grateful. So I've gone back and forth with shadow work, and there's a handful or more of spiritual people who make this so much bigger than it needs to be. And so I was really in the beginning just like, oh, that doesn't feel good. I mean, I don't resonate with any of that stuff at all. Like it just, not that I don't have a shadow self, we all do, right? But
Mhm.
just the way that it was being interpreted, I was just like, this is not, someone wants to be a guru kind of situation. Let's be honest. So I started looking at shadow work a lot differently, as in um, something that I could do that was healthy for me and my nervous system. Because I realized, like, through my understanding of shadow work, well, first of all, so what I feel like shadow work is the process of intentionally uncovering and reclaiming parts of ourself that we have suppressed, with like this underlying intention of restoring our nervous systems and our psyche, if you will, to a state of wholeness. And so, what that means for me is like the opposite of a dysregulated nervous system is someone who can like live in this state of self-expression. They can authentically be themselves. Um they can be seen, right? They can be seen by others and not get thrown into this dysregulated state.
Mm.
So the goal is to like restore you to a state of wholeness so you can exist more in this state of self-expression of your full authentic self. So I look at shadow work as if your emotions are separate from the physical body. So basically, you're regulating your nervous system.
Hmm. That's really good.
That's why I do nervous system resets.
My goodness, I was like, that's really technical, and wow, that even resonates. Like to take that when you have an idea that you're um, dysregulated in a way. How would you
Hmm.
identify that? How would people identify that their nervous system is not in sync or not properly regulated?
So so that's where the shadow side is created, right? So our shadows are created from this place of like shame or guilt or, like those emotions. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you express certain parts of yourself, you just won't survive or something is wrong or broken with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you express it, you'll lose those things which you need to survive. Those things being like community, relationships, love, safety, those human things we need. So a lot of times, I feel like, if not all, this happens in childhood, like you said, through the conditioning and the way we learn to love ourselves. So if you think back to all of the times where you were told, you're talking too much, you're not talking enough, you're not doing it right, you look ridiculous, that's stupid, go in your room. Or even like when I was young, one of the big things is kids were meant to be seen, not heard.
Hmm.
So you start picking up all of these belief systems and you're so young, you create your identity around what your parents are telling you or your family or the people older than you that you look up to that you think know it all because you're just a kid. You're told that you're just a kid, you don't know. And so you just start packing on all of these belief systems. And so it's like your shadow isn't evil or bad. It's just a
Mm-mm.
part of you that's tired of pretending all of the time.
Mm.
Right. And so if you look at it that way, like the masks that we wear is our shadow. So when we show up and we're not authentically ourselves, we are hiding behind a false identity. And you've got to think about that. So let me explain that even more because this is going to take me on do you mind? I'm going to go down
No, go
I'm
ahead.
going to go down a loop a little bit. So
Yeah.
if you think about integrating your shadow self with your current identity, like who you think you are right now. So our current identity, I feel, is the version of ourselves that we feel safe to express, that we feel safe to allow other people to see. And when I think about that, I think how many of us wholeheartedly show up in the world as our most authentic version of ourselves? Like, do you know anybody? Like, it's not very common, right? Everyone
No.
has a mask or everyone. And if you relate to the human design, if they have an undefined G center, they don't have that sense of identity.
Right.
And so there's that plays into it as well. So many of us are only showing a portion of who we truly are because mostly one, we don't feel safe, right? We don't feel safe to be ourselves.
Right.
So we don't feel safe to be in society or social groups or anything like that because what if they see us? You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's scary. So then let's go over from our current identity to our shadow selves, all of these parts that are suppressed inside of us. So we have all of these suppressed parts of ourself that still exist in our body, whether we want them to or not, they're there. So what ends up happening and why this causes all of this dysregulation without doing the shadow work is because now your body needs energy to relate to your current identity and it needs energy to relate to your shadow identity. So you're using all of this energy to sustain two versions of yourself and to keep track of it all. Like which parts of myself are safe to express, which parts of myself are safe to be seen by others, by society, by whoever, and which parts are not. And then you actually can go into like escapism or suppress these parts of yourself, which creates even more shadow. So you're just using a lot of energy for both of these versions of yourself, and it's like a fragmentation,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for
And
sure.
it's happening like 24/7. You're in this loop until you understand that, oh, there's this version identity of myself and there's this shadow version of myself. And yeah, that's how I look at it. So when you can what I'm just trying to think. Like if you have this awareness, you just begin to see that as we integrate our shadow self into our current identity, we're allowing them to like blend and integrate together. And we're doing the work to actually say, how does this work? How can I feel safe doing this? And then we can begin to do this integration that we can be more in alignment with our mind, body, spirit, our heart. And this is when the body will actually start to be like, oh, like it can chill out, right? Because
Right.
all of that previous energy we were using on both sides of the spectrum all the time, we're no longer using the same way. So your nervous system is like, yay, this is awesome. I can begin to rest and I can sleep, and all of these other things will start happening as a result of that. I can feel safe in my body, and I can my hormones will chill out, or whatever it is. You just, if you integrate, it shifts. The shadow is always with us, but it's like working in tandem, or integrating them together.
Right, and I could see how with the way that you're describing it, as you come to accept all the things that's from this lifetime that happened, you start to see that they, as you integrate it and pick up all those fragments of you that broke off in all these different places in your life, or these events that would be that would seem traumatic or throughout your life. Um, you start to integrate those things and you start to love all of yourself, and so that's really healthy, and you can bring all of that stuff forward. And I also see that shadow work is learning to love yourself and all the parts of you.
Mm.
um, and it often can, I want to, if you don't mind, I want to talk a minute about how sometimes I've seen it show up where someone, or you encounter someone and they just get under your skin.
Mirror work. Yes, let's talk about it.
Yes, when I was thinking about this, but the show, I thought, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Which is a good way to not only look at your shadow, but when other people are mirrors to you. This is good. Hit it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hit it.
So this mirroring thing, to realize that when someone gets under your skin, the internal response is a sense of awareness that can be interpreted often as like, ooh, until you learn how to interpret it in the more spiritual way, where you say, oh, that person's my teacher. What about
Mhm.
that person is it that I dislike? And where in my life did I ever do that thing?
Mhm.
And then, oh, wait. And often we're bugged by the parts of us that we just don't want to accept.
Yeah.
That how are we like that? That's in the other person, because it really is this duality, but it's also this mirroring aspect. So with that awareness, you start to go, oh, okay. And to me, it seems fairly straightforward. We have to learn to love ourselves
Yeah.
and learn to accept that everything in life has already happened,
Mhm.
and so not anyone, no matter anything, can ever go back and adjust a thing that's already happened. What we can do is heal the version of ourselves that wants to resist the thing that happened and look for the loophole to make it doesn't happen, which creates this kind of madness and is part of the shadow, because you're not fully there. It's just like what you're saying with the way, I love the way that you describe that with this wasting of energy, this, or a siphoning of your energy.
Right.
Um,
Well,
when
you
when
know
you're
me, it's all energy.
yes, So when you start to notice that you meet someone or you have something that triggers or brings up something about you, and you take a pause and you just like, what is it about that where I did that somewhere?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's part of the cleaning up and the clearing up that happens when you start doing some of this work.
Yeah. It's so magical.
So,
I've heard so many people say, I don't need to do shadow work. That's not for me. That's spiritual woo woo stuff. Actually, it's psychology. And you do need to do your shadow work or you're going to just be miserable most of your life.
yes.
Let's let's say it how it is.
Well, for those
It's like
people, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say it's like when you heal the insides, also you heal the outsides too. If you think about people who have like different physical ailments, like I mean, I'm even speaking for myself. I've had physical ailments and they're always linked to an internal reasoning, usually connected with an emotion or a trauma. So
Hmm.
we cannot just look at the body separate, right? It's
Right.
all whole. We're all whole. And so, um, like, just think of how amazing that is. If you're in physical pain, do you realize like a lot of the times that you're in physical pain is because you have some underlying dysregulation in your body? You have some kind of trauma, trapped emotion. I have appointments for that. And you can't feel better.
You do not have to. I told one of our friends recently, I said, you do not have to live with that trauma. I don't.
Mm-mm.
I said, no, I know a person that can help you with that. And you did. And she's like, wow, it was very quick,
Yeah, it
which,
doesn't take long. That's crazy because it's just energy, you guys. It's just energy.
yes,
Energy flows where attention goes.
that's right. And sometimes we don't know our attention's there. So
Yeah.
that is one thing that it is been said, and I'm curious about your thoughts on this, that um, don't do shadow work by yourself. It's helpful to have a guide of some
Mhm.
fashion when you're doing shadow work. What do
So
you
you're
feel about
asking
that?
what my opinion is?
Yeah.
I did a majority of my shadow work by myself. However, it wasn't just like going into it alone per se. I had resources,
Okay.
right? So um I listen to people, I pay attention. And so I if something revolves around a topic that I'm interested in, I'm like listening. And hello Jen, welcome. And so I feel like because I've been so used to doing things on my own, trauma response. I'm working through that also. I began that way, but I haven't been able to fully integrate my shadow work without the help of somebody else, right? So, but for me, the way that it worked for me is I had to go within and no one else could do that for me,
Oh, that makes sense.
right? So
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to go and look at where I was suffering or the beliefs that I thought or the actions that I was taking. And it, I could have gone to like a therapist or something, but nobody knows me better than me.
Hmm.
And so I just really withdrew a lot of times in my life because I had to figure out why I felt this way. And I'm an investigator. So I have to do all the research to see who's really legit in order to support me and help me because I'm not just going to let anyone into my energy. And the other great thing about that is that when I became more clear and more aware of the work that I was doing for myself, I was drawn, and the people that I needed just happened to come into my life because my energy shifted.
Yeah.
And your body knows what your body needs. And energy doesn't lie. Like I said, you will attract the people, places, and things into your life that are meant for you for your best and highest good. Always, no matter where you're at in life. It's just facts. And so I started that way. And then also, I had people. that I ask to be authentically raw and vulnerable with me and call me out because I like information and I don't have an attachment to what that looks like. But if I can't see something right in front of me and they can see it right in front of me, I want them to say, hey, this is hanging out. And I see you behaving this way or saying this and things aren't matching. Like, I like to be called out. It helps me grow. And I don't take it personally because everyone is our teacher, you guys.
Mhm.
Everyone is a mirror for us, especially the people who get under your skin and really piss you off. Like, pay attention. And so that's how I feel about that. You can do a lot of it on your own. And I recommend that. Get uncomfortable with yourself. Like you can't go into those depths with somebody telling you which direction to go inside of your body. You have to do that. But also, no one has to do this type of work alone, nor do I recommend it at the end. Like it's really good to have somebody support you in some way.
Oh yeah.
What do you feel about it?
Well, there's times it depends on the kind of work. There's lots of methodologies out there, books written on this. Um,
Mhm.
that there's times where you can get trapped in it.
Mhm.
So having a guide, depending on exactly what it is that you're in there and navigating and the depths that you're going to. Um, Sometimes you need someone that is trained in being able to take you into a space and then getting you back into the present and the now. So
Mhm.
there's I don't know if I want to say a risk, but I would want to say the risk of getting trapped within your shadow and then the negative spirals within yourself. So sometimes you have to learn, get different skills or learn this new concepts or not topics, concepts so that you understand what it is that you're navigating. And so learning is part of this process
Mhm.
because it's not so easy just to identify. It's not like you even have to identify this thing, which you don't have to go on a witch hunt to say which trauma in which year of your life and which person and
Mhm.
all these things. You don't really have to go on the witch hunt to figure this out. You there's a lot of love that's needed and self-love and self-caring and self-compassion that go into this. And sometimes people just aren't there
Mhm.
without learning more or allowing themselves to be loved by a person
Mhm.
that will help them get there. This is not the easiest work, that's for sure. I have learned through all my years that I want to trust that if my shadow is coming up in a particular day or an aspect or a time frame in my life, then it's ready for healing. I don't have to go
Mhm.
digging around in the dirt to find something to heal.
Mhm.
There's some times where you don't have to do work. Sometimes you could just be human, we were saying earlier today.
I was saying that earlier today, yes. It gets exhausting, you guys. You
Yeah.
you know, as healing is not linear, and I don't recommend anyone 24/7, like, digging into boxes
Mm-mm.
and feeling all these things and processing them all of the time. That is not healthy in my opinion.
No.
That that is I forgot to close my blinds. That is distracting.
She's like, back on track. Just move your head. You won't be able to see. There you go.
I also forgot to turn my light on, so I'm in the dark. Ah, you're all bright and shiny, and I'm all hanging out in my shadow.
It's a shadow.
I love what Maria just shared. She said, being comfortable is not a good place to be. Sweat, be cold, pick up something heavy, get uncomfortable. Yeah, like no one really wants to do that though, right? We're like, no, I'm afraid. That feels scary. That's uncomfortable. Not interested. I'm good. Like, but you guys, that's where the magic happens.
I think if you start with those things,
Mhm.
um, you start with some physicality thing like get cold or get uncomfortable. I think it's really an important prerequisite before you can do some of this other stuff, because you have to be willing to get uncomfortable and go to places that are inherently difficult in one way or another
Mm-hmm.
to be able to move through to just integrate that shadow aspect.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you for all of the participation in the chat room, you guys. We really feel like we're having a conversation with you. It's so good.
Yes.
I I really do appreciate the feedback. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you type them in all caps, and you haven't already liked the live or subscribed to our channel. If you could do that, we are reinventing ourselves outside of another platform we were previously on. So yeah, we're live on Facebook and YouTube tonight. Yay.
Yes. So
So
let's go ahead.
I was gonna say, talk. I don't know what direction you were about to go, but earlier I was like, "How are you gonna bring up shadow work? I bet it's different than mine." And you were like, "Yeah, it is." And then another comment somewhere in our conversation in the last 24 hours, I'm like, "We need to study more on the gene keys." And you're like, "Funny, you should mention that." So
Right.
is that what direction you're headed?
Yes. So the gene keys, which is, I, for my own purposes, I like to describe the gene keys. It's work that comes like a cousin to human design. It's
Mhm.
another person that founded it, Richard. It's Richard Rudd's work, and when anyone can go and get a printout of their gene keys, if you happen to be using some of the apps, they blend gene keys or the holograph. I think they also call it holographics into a human design reading. So I know on Humdesk that they have Gene Keys information in there, as well as just going straight to Gene Keys, Googling Gene Keys, putting in your birth information, and getting your main Gene Keys. And what that gives you is there's a shadow, first of all, and then there's a gift, and then there's a city, which is SIDDHI, which is the ultimate level. So the thing, when I worked with people with their gene keys, well, I would pull their gene keys and I would say, look, what you have is you have a shadow aspect in this one particular place, which would be a gate in your one particular gate. You have the shadow and then you have this gift. And when you realize that if you're in your shadow, and then you have the language of the gift, you know where to step, because we can't just step like backwards or forwards from our shadow into like the gift or a different aspect within ourselves. I see it's usually a side step or sort of an angle step. So when you have some method or language or tool to be able to move from shadow to a different place, I found that really beneficial. So when I would work with people, you would say, okay, these are your shadows, and then you could catch yourself in it.
Mm.
And then when you know what your gift is, then you're moving from your shadow frequency to your gift frequency. And it's a contemplation path with the gene keys where you start to notice the shadow aspects, and then you know what it is that you can lean towards, because it's all natural.
Mhm.
These states are in us: the shadow state, the gift state, the city state. They're all within us, but it does require to move away from that shadow aspect, which just is a lower frequency. It's all energy, like you're talking about, and move into a higher a different frequency, which could be higher in a logarithmic scale, but a different frequency.
Mhm.
And then you experience that easierness, less easierness, that's a word. Less resistance. You meet less resistance in your life. It's easier to be in your own skin. You love yourself more. These are all aspects of doing the healing work. But the Gene Keys is a really good tool if you want to do some self-evaluation with some specific language.
Mhm.
To be here and be more in your purpose, more showing up as your true nature so that you actually can get that life that it is that you think you're looking for.
Right.
And I do find in my own life, I always felt like, I'm going to put it this way. When I was much younger, I thought, I'm here for a big purpose. And then now I'm here for a big purpose. And the big purpose is being me. That's
Yes.
my biggest purpose that I
Mm-hmm.
have, is to be me. Because that's one thing I'm qualified for. It's
Mm-hmm.
the job that I'm just naturally made for. But it does require me to understand things like with my design, or paying attention to when I'm attempting to be something that I'm not, when
Mm-hmm.
I'm caught up in my not self, and the language is going on in my head, and there's a pull to be something that once I've really learned my design, I'm not that. And I'm free to let go of that.
Yeah.
And I could look back in my life and I could see when I was attempting to be the shadow aspect of myself. And then I can forgive myself for not knowing that that was the not self because I didn't know it then. And then
Right.
I integrate that part. And it was like, oh, my younger self, she didn't know.
Yeah.
She didn't know that that wasn't her true nature.
Right. And I love that you brought all of that up. One of the biggest messages that I receive when I go into the Akashic records for other people is a remembering. Like in some way, I get some kind of message, all different wording, but it's all the same message is we are here to come home to ourselves, to remember who we are. And the remembering who we are comes through a process of letting go of what we are not. And that's what the shadow work is. It's letting go of all of those aspects that are not truly you. So you can come home to yourself, so you can be your truest, most authentic self. What a beautiful thing to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, there's no one else like you. None of us are the same. We may have same qualities and personality traits and interests, but nobody is you. You are your own unique, authentic individual. So there's no reason to be anything other than that. Like just be you. And that sounds like, but how?
Right.
Because we never know. We never get told. We never get taught how to just be us. Human design system is a really beautiful way to lean into being your most authentic self. It literally is like a permission slip to be you and a roadmap. It gives you this blueprint of you, of how you operate, how you show up in the world. It's the most amazing system. But we have some questions. We had some people showing up late and they're wanting a definition of can you describe what the shadow is? It all seems negative and shameful. And although we went over that, just a quick little
Okay, so
refresh.
that's actually when it seems negative and shameful, that's actually
That's the
yes.
shadow. Yeah.
Yes. And so the healing is that um depending on what it is that's carrying shame, and there's lots of people who've done great work. Brene Brown has done a lot of work on shame, and the frequency of shame is very dense.
Mhm.
And most of the time shame comes from taking on the conditioning that was from someone else, that we've owned it as ourself.
Mhm.
So we owned it and we thought that there was something that felt just carrying the shame, which is this really dense vibration.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put it, you don't need to know like if it's connected to a trauma or something, but it's like, we're here for an experience. We are souls riding around in this body and we're having experiences and we're in this now. And
Beep, beep.
whatever, yes, whatever was previous to now, um, isn't in the now. So loving heals all kinds of things. So if you're carrying shame, it's like, what would it be like? What would it be like if you just put it down? Just put it down. If you just wrote on a simple piece of paper whatever that shame was about,
Mhm.
and you just put it down.
What if?
What if?
Oh, it feels so good when I just set it down. I don't even carry a backpack anymore.
Because it's like, oh, it's just so feeling disconnected is very much a human thing. And a lot of times we get disconnected from our true self many times because we don't know what that even means.
Mhm.
Who am I? And it is so confusing because we're conditioned from the moment that we're born. It's not so easy to figure out who you are. I wouldn't
Mhm.
know. I wouldn't know exactly how to ride around in this body that I'm riding around with without all the different methodologies or tools that I used. I used numerology, I used Myers-Briggs personality type, and I did those tests. And then I lived with it from that framework for a little while, and I found that that fit.
Mhm.
It was something that fit. I studied it a bit. I mean, this stuff doesn't come without studying, and then really definitely the human design has been just the most precise tool that's like, oh,
Mhm.
this really explains me. And yes, there is some study involved, but it doesn't really have to be that complicated. I go deep because I use it for in my work, but most people don't have to go that deep. You just really need to know where do you listen to on the inside of yourself? What is it that you sort of need to let go with? What is this not self voice inside of the head? Where's that coming from? And learn that
Yeah.
the mind really can't be trusted on many levels because it's really great for other people. It's great to analyze things, not great so for
Mm.
guiding our lives.
Absolutely. And if you're interested in doing shadow work, which I hope you are, it will change your life. There are so many ways that you can do that. We brought up like mirror work. Yes, people are mirrors to each other, right? You can learn a lot about yourself by observing other people. What is it that you're drawn to? What is it that you're like staying away from? Like look at those aspects of other people in a non-judgmental way, just an observation, just so you can get to know yourself a little more. Because a lot of us go through life not really even knowing anything about who we are. We're just like hanging out in this body, just trying to survive because, being a human is tough. And so, but there are ways to get through that, right? And I think another good way is doing mirror work with yourself, like staring into the mirror for like 5 minutes and like really looking at yourself, like
Hmm.
look into your eyes and not look into yourself as a judgment. Like, look at your light. Look at how your eyes sparkle. Your soul is there. Like they say, your eyes are a mirror to your soul. I totally believe that. Look at that. Look at your soul. Stare into the mirror and look at yourself. Another thing that I really, really liked was journaling. Not everyone's a journaler, and this is not an everyday thing, but anytime you feel like something come up for you, I'm not saying journal every day. That's unrealistic. But when something comes up for you and maybe something was brought to your attention about something that you say on repeat, like, I'm sorry, or something that just affected you in some way where you were like, I wonder if I do that. I wonder if I think that way. I wonder if I behave like that. That's a good opportunity to start asking yourself questions, to dig in deeper and getting to know yourself in a deeper way, right? Because we all that is not what I'm trying to say. Most of us don't know ourselves until we start doing work like this. And
Right.
so, in order to know ourselves better, there's like a plethora of resources online. I think there are so many people who have a shadow workbook of some kind or a journaling prompt shadow workbook of some kind. If you can just absolutely not think of any questions. But some questions that would be really easy is when you're in that experience, like say something comes up where um, let's do the I'm sorry one because that is very, very common.
Very.
Um, people will just say, I'm sorry for standing there, right? They feel like they're in the way.
Hmm.
They feel like they're taking up space and they're apologizing for just being them, for just standing there. And I, I feel like there was a point in my life I used to be like that. maybe not excessively like I have seen it, but I feel like there's a time in my life. So this is something I can really relate to. And I had to start asking myself questions like, what am I sorry for? Why do I apologize when I walk into a room? Or why do I say I'm sorry for this, that, and the other when I didn't do anything wrong? Right? I'm allowed to take up space, but why do I feel like I can't? So ask yourself those questions like, why are you afraid of taking up space? And what are you afraid someone might judge you? Or, what negative patterns keep playing in your life that make you feel like you need to be sorry? Like, ask yourself deeper questions. But there are tons of journaling prompts out there. Pinterest has them, YouTube, there's books. Like, you don't have to buy the things, it can be free. You can even just like sit under a tree with some fresh air and ask yourself some questions,
Mhm.
without the distractions around. And I think it's important to know yourself um well deeper than just a surface level. Like, yeah, you know what your favorite color is, you know your favorite food, but who are you when the dark knocks on the door, right? Like, what ways do you navigate your feelings and your emotions? And why do you get triggered when someone um chews with their mouth open? Like, it can be fun and playful and also serious, but just get to know yourself more, and not from a judgmental place, but just from a place of awareness.
Sometimes if you go to a family function, she shudder. Okay, so we have to talk about this because that's where we like inherit a lot of our stuff is from our family.
Absolutely, 150%. Yes.
So you go
I
there
leave
and
family functions and I'm like, "Oy." Not that there's anything wrong with my family, they're my family, but
right.
I'm nothing like anyone in my family. So, it's interesting.
Is that because you set them all down and you're not like that anymore?
I mean, I hope we're all growing the best way we know how. That's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say about that.
Yeah. So there's part that said with that, you go around. I know me personally, when I'm around my family, I see aspects that I have that I am like, okay, I want to love that part of myself. I want to
Mhm.
heal from the parts that I see are dysfunctional as far as family dynamics and just characteristics that we have within my biological family. And I want to heal that. So I want to improve and I want to let go of some things that are a family dynamic and do the best I can in my life. So
Mhm.
there's part that said, well, if you think you've done all your shadow work, go around your family.
You will get schooled, schooled. And if you don't have family, go around your best pals,
That's
right?
right.
Because they see you. I know.
Hmm.
I hope you're hanging out with those kind of people.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so good. I love it. Hanging out with my family too, sporadically. I love my family if they're listening. I know my dad is, but I'm just saying, he knows. He knows. Anyway, yeah, it's just interesting. For the longest time I didn't play into the shadow work. I was like, I thought it was some like spiritual woo-woo concept, like I said. And I couldn't hang. I was like, why would I actively like hurt myself like that? Because it just had such a negative connotation, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, there was a question up here from Ronald. Not that one. Um, can the shadow be positive?
Well, I I think so. There's the um I'll answer it this way. I feel like the shadow integration is a positive thing. And so learning to love all aspects of ourself. Okay, yeah. So as if I yammer long enough, then I'll be like, okay, yes.
Clarity. You
So
got to go through
yes,
your emotional.
that's right. Just go blah, blah, blah. All right. So I'm going to talk about in the human design system again, how the positive of the undefined areas are. So that is a source of deep, deep, deep wisdom. Same thing with what you're talking about with shadow work is, of course, it's a positive. And so when you learn that your undefined areas are receptive centers and you don't identify that as you understand that it's energy coming from others, and you become really wise about what's going on with people around you.
Mm.
And then if you're healing your trauma, then you understand that we live in a world, you understand the world a little bit different. You understand that hurt people, and they mostly need compassion. Even if you're just, I'm very compassionate for what you're going through, and yet I'm not going to be by you because I don't want to have my own injuries, but I can still love you from afar. And
Yeah.
you also understand that we're all one even if it's just one planet, we're all in this oneness together, doing this human thing together. And there's all these different aspects. So the positivity that comes from that is deep wisdom. Now, deep wisdom doesn't come from a life that's just lived without any sort of hiccups. That's not where wisdom comes from.
Right.
So we're deeply wise when we integrate our shadow, because we go in and then we also see how that was for us. That without that lesson, we wouldn't be who we are now. I know me, I've had so much gratitude for my younger self. What she went through to make me sound this wise, whew, whoa.
Girl, I feel you.
So,
I feel you. I can't not but be grateful for
mhm,
all of my experience, especially the last 10 years. Like you guys have been on this journey. I've been doing soul wanderings we just hit the 9th year in October. Crazy, right, Nate? I know you're on here. Wow, crazy. So I the amount of growth I've had just in the last 10 years alone, just from like putting myself into the fire, right?
mhm,
You have to. You have to.
yeah,
You have to put yourself into the experience in order to come out and be this different version of yourself.
yeah,
Am I where I'm supposed to be yet? No, because life is a journey, right? They say life is a journey, not a destination. Like it's always, always going to be work to do. Always. That's a
yeah,
part of the human experience. And it just gets easier with the more cleanup work you do. It
yeah,
just gets easier. You don't hold on to as much. You let go of things easier. You you find the blessings and the gratitude in the littlest of things
mhm,
where before you would have just walked past it and no acknowledgement. Like life just looks differently. It feels differently. It is different, but it is a commitment to yourself. It's a commitment to loving yourself. And shadow work is one of those things. It's a source to come back to home, to you, to the love that you deserve to give to yourself.
and thereby, if you learn all these things, you're actually able to give that love to other people more easily.
Ah, and more authentically and
Mhm,
much deeper.
yeah.
Yeah. Ah, so good. That's so good.
So
Ah,
can we talk about grief for a moment?
yeah.
Because and death. I thought this so grief, and we're grief comes from all kinds of loss
Mhm.
where something is no longer the way that it was, and there's something that is precious that is no longer a part of your life. So it can be all kinds of loss. It could be breaks up of relationships, um, the realization, the waking up, you can have a profound experience of grieving after waking up. You're waking up and you're like, oh my goodness, everything that I knew is no longer that way. Shifts in paradigms like what we're currently going through in the evolutionary times of humans can also leave a lot of grief, going, oh, what everything that I thought was is not quite what I thought
Mhm.
it was. So there's lots of things that can do that, as well as the death of a loved one. And
Mhm.
it throws you into a shadowy part of your life where you're not fully there because a big portion of it is full of grief. Now, grieving is the emotional experience you have after loss. Our bodies grieve, it's a natural part of being human.
Mhm.
And transcendence around grief is possible. Most people don't live with that level of faith. So I don't usually hang out in talking about that, but I'll bring it up and say, there doesn't have to be very shadowy during the time when you really, 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 really understand that nothing dies and everything is for you. So there's nothing really to grieve in life. Most of us just don't even live that way. I don't even live that way. And I talk about this stuff all the time. I'm
Yeah.
fully immersed in this human experience, but during those times, it can be very shadowy,
Yeah.
melancholy, heavier experiences, less energy. All of those are normal parts of life. And that's a different kind of shadow work than I think what we've been talking about. What
Yeah.
it is the willingness to be in those heavier, um, more poignant, difficult parts of life
Mhm.
without trying to run away and escaping it, like being able to stay there and experience. That's what I would call when we're going into, you know, so I call it the swamp.
Yeah.
And swamps are full of all kinds of shadows. They're not always bright and sunny. They're cooler. So when I say you're going into your swamp, as far as draining the swamp, there's
Yeah.
part of that says loving and accepting. A lot of times that has to do with dealing with, like, if you've gone through a divorce, dealing with a marriage that didn't work out, and different aspects of things that you picked up from the spouse that you're no longer involved with. And there can be a lot of work that falls out from that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring that up
I
because
love that you
that's
brought up
definitely.
grief. Yeah. Because I have grieved myself too.
Mhm.
Like all the versions of myself that I once was, no, they weren't meant for me, but they served me at that time and they got me through a lot of experiences. And so, like, letting that go was a process. So I really love that you brought that up. I want to say a couple of last things, just like some points that I like jotted down really quick. Like Natalie and I shared a little meal together and she ran over and I was just like, I'm going to write a few things up really quick. Um, um, one of the things I feel like I already said earlier when I was talking about your shadow isn't evil or bad. It's just a part of you that is just really tired, right? Because you're wearing the mask, you're pretending all of the time. The other thing I want to say is that you're not low energy. You're just emotionally hungover from avoiding your feelings.
You
Your
get an
shadow,
emotional hangover.
an
I love
emotional
it.
hangover. And I say that because I'm emotionally defined and I know all about it. I think I wrote the book. Woo, those roller coasters. But that's part of my shadow self, right? Oh, what's the other one? The person you can't stand is the mirror, right? I brought that up when someone's like really triggering you. Look at yourself.
Whew,
They are the mirror.
that's
Another one is healing doesn't mean you're unhealed. It just means you are learning to sit with your shadow. So just hang out with it. Make friends with it. Chill with your homie, right? The other one I jotted down is some people aren't villains. They're just main characters in a movie that you need to stop auditioning for. It's not your movie. Move on. I mean, shadow work happened your whole life. You're conditioned and triggered your whole life. So stop auditioning for that role. Okay. I don't know why it's so funny. It's just facts.
Oh, it's really good. That's some good
Oh,
stuff there.
this is another one that I attract broken people. I see people's potential, right? I see potential before they see it themselves. And someone said to me one time, "You're not a therapist, so just retire." Stop playing that role. You can't fix them.
I remember when I quit my social work job,
Hmm.
and stopped being such a fixer.
And then I want to leave you guys with this. When you hit rock bottom, when you're like, life is so heavy, it's too hard, it isn't a punishment. Rock bottom is not a punishment. It's not, it's creator's way of saying you didn't listen the first 5, 10, 20 times. So stop chasing potential and start choosing peace out of every experience in your life. I know that firsthand.
Yeah.
And that's all. I think that's all. I'm glad you had a good laugh. So next week we have a new topic, of course, and you guys voted on it last week. So we will be bringing that to you next Wednesday, same time, same place here live on YouTube and Facebook at 6 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we hope to have you guys all back with us once again. We really enjoy your company and we adore our wonders. So thank you all for being here. And you guys have a great rest of your week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else for you?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Take care. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Have a good one.